Yo, One Piece has a lot of strengths. We have the world building, the character work, but if you were to ask me what element of One Piece made it so endearing to me, I would have to say the humor. Specifically, the humor between our main cast, the Straw Hats. I mean, just Luffy alone is hilarious, just being the idiot that he is. But every single one of the Straw Hats has those little quirks and gags that always get a laugh out of me. So today, we're gonna rank them all. Yep, Mr. Tier List is back. Y'all miss me? No? Okay, let's get into this tier list then. All right. We got 20 gags here. I don't really know if this is all the Straw Hat gags. Oda has so many jokes that he uses. I couldn't tell you. These are all the ones that I remember. And first up, we have Brook and his skull jokes. Brook's skull jokes kind of remind me of Hawk.
What?
Hold on. Let me explain. The first time you hear him, you're like,
I'm all eyes for ladies like you, or I would be if skeletons had any eyes.
That's kind of funny. Then you hear it for the 5th and 6th time and you're like, this is not funny at all. Then you hear it for the 20th time and it's funny again somehow. It's like post-ironic funny. I can't put it in goated, but I can put it in hilarious. Brook is just out of his mind and I respect that. Next we have Zoro getting lost. This is easily goated. It can't go anywhere else. The crazy thing about Zoro getting lost is I didn't even notice this gag until like Enies Lobby. And then I went back and read East Blue. That shit was there from chapter 1 or whatever chapter Zoro was introduced in, maybe chapter 2. But that's the whole reason how this nigga was locked up in the first place. He set sail to go look for Mihawk and he ended up all over the fucking place. I think this is one of the most perfect gags in One Piece. It never gets old. It hits every single time. And what makes it even funnier is how in denial Zoro is about it. People bring it up to him like, Zoro, you're always getting lost. He's like, I have no idea what you're talking about. I have the best sense of direction in the crew. The nigga's delusional. But again, I respect it. Next, we have Luffy being unable to lie. I really like this gag because it's also just really good characterization. It fits Luffy being such an honest person. Of course he wouldn't be able to lie. And it's always funny when he tries. It is so obvious. And he's been doing it since he was a kid. That's what makes it even better. And recently in Elbaf, we're in another situation where Luffy has to lie and he's folding again. So you know what? Just for consistency, it's getting put in goated too. Next, we have Nami being money hungry. I feel like we don't get as much of this gag anymore. Like, I can't remember the last time Nami was worried about money, but when we do get it, it's really funny. I think my favorite example of this gag was in Thriller Bark when Nami gives away her treasure to Lola. And Luffy and Usopp are like, what did you do with Nami? Is this like some kind of doppelganger or a clone or something? That shit is funny. So I'm gonna put it in funny. Duh. Next we have Brook asking for panties. I think the only time that this joke actually tickled me was when Shaki actually answered his question. But other than that, I don't really care for it that much. I'll put it in slightly amusing. Next, we have Luffy and Usopp's mini impressions. Well, mainly Luffy. But whenever Luffy impersonates the rest of the crew, it's always funny. I think the funniest ones are when he does Zoro and Sanji, because they're always so serious. And the way that Luffy's face literally changes to look like theirs, that shit makes no sense. But it's just so funny to me. And it proves that Luffy really knows his crew. Like, he studies them and their mannerisms. And Usopp did have that one time where he mimicked Robin. That shit is funny. I'm gonna have to put this one in hilarious. We gotta have a higher standard for goated. I almost put it in goated. I can't even do it. Next, we have Chopper's bounty. You know what? This gag surprises me because I always assumed that Oda was gonna drop this gag eventually and give Chopper a real bounty, especially when we became a Yonko crew. But you know what? I respect the dedication. And it also leads to a bunch of other funny scenarios, like when the fake Straw Hats think Chopper is just a pet and they replace him with some random fucking fox. And just seeing Chopper cry and freak out about his bounty, it brings me joy. I love you, Chopper, but that shit definitely brings me joy. I'll put it in funny. Next, we have Sanji's perv gag. Okay. I don't think Sanji's perv gag is the funniest thing in the world, but I do think it gets way too much hate for what it is. People over-exaggerate the out of this gag, when to me it's just like normal anime shit. It doesn't even really go beyond what other anime characters would do. It feels like there are just a lot of people that find Sanji really annoying and they want to have a good moral excuse for finding him annoying, and this gag is the easiest way to do that. But realistically, perv gag is funny a cool 70% of the time, and another like 10% of the time it's like whatever. It's definitely not my favorite gag. I don't even think it's my favorite Sanji gag. But One Piece fans, calm the f down. It's a cartoon, nigga. The only times where I would say it went over the top were like Fishman Island. And yeah, really only Fishman Island. Maybe Thriller Bark too. But other than that, it's whatever to me. And come on, Sanji getting turned down by women will never not be funny. I'm sorry, bro. I gotta give it a funny. Next, we have Usopp constantly being scared. I love this gag. It is at the core of Usopp's character, and it's just funny because it's such a good juxtaposition from the rest of the crew that are all out of their minds. And it leaves Usopp as the only sane one to say, that is fucking crazy. Why would we ever do that? Whenever Usopp tries to talk Luffy or Zoro down from doing some crazy shit, it's always funny. I always go back to that one scene in Arlong Park when Zoro is thinking about rushing the fisherman and Usopp and Johnny knock his ass out. One of my favorite Usopp moments of all time. And then Usopp always making up some fake sickness for why he can't go to a certain place. I love it, man. Not to mention, it just leaves a lot of room for Usopp to have cool character moments where he gets over his fears and does something really cool. This has to be one of the best gags in One Piece. Goated. Next, we have boys getting excited about Frankie and his robot stuff. It's funny because this gag is about Frankie and Frankie is nowhere in the picture, but especially ever since Frankie had his modifications that I'm actually a fan of. I actually like Frankie's post-time skip design. I didn't like it at first, but it grew on me a lot to the point where now I think I probably prefer it over the pre-time skip design. Ain't no fucking way. Oh man, these comments are gonna be great. Everyone's gonna agree with everything that I have to say for sure. But you gotta respect it because Frankie is always doing some cool shit. When he rode that bike into Big Mom's face, the first time he used Frankie's Shogun. I was right there with him. I had the sparkle eyes too. The nipple lasers. Maybe that one's not as cool, but it's funny, which is why we are here. I'm kind of stuck between funny and hilarious. I'll go with funny. You know what makes this gag really funny though? I know this is a Straw Hat list, but what makes it really funny is how universal it is. It doesn't matter where they are, who they're around. If there are boys around, they're gonna think that shit's cool as fuck and they're gonna get the sparkle eyes. I think I changed my mind. I think I'm gonna have to put this one in hilarious. I don't think I've ever not laughed at this gag. And now we're halfway through and I'm realizing I don't think there's gonna be a single one in garbage. I think every gag of the Straw Hats, at least the ones that I have here, are all at least a little funny. Obviously some are funnier than others, but next we have Nami beating up Luffy. This is another gag that I see people overreact to all the time. Like, oh my god, why is Luffy hitting Nami? If the roles was reversed. Shut up, nigga. I will say this again. This is a cartoon. It's slapstick humor. Not to mention, Luffy does hit women. He's done it a couple different times. But I always find it funny. Again, this isn't my favorite gag. I don't think it's the funniest thing in the world. But I also don't think it's worth getting upset about. Like, do you think she's really hurting Luffy? You think Luffy's feelings are hurt by this shit or something? Who are you trying to defend? I think I'm gonna put it in indifferent though. It's not really all that funny to me. Even though I just went on this whole tangent defending it, I must be honest with my feelings, bro. I have to. Next, we have Tsundere Chopper. We never see this gag anymore. And I used to love this gag. Like back in the day, pre-time skip Chopper. It's like one of the first things that endeared me to Chopper. The fact that Chopper cannot take a compliment to save his life. And every time he gets complimented, he just starts fucking dancing. It will never not be funny to me. But since we don't really see it that much, I'll put it in slightly amusing. Next, we have Usopp and his big lies. I don't know if this gag is super funny to me, but I always find it really interesting. The fact that Usopp always tells these crazy lies and they always end up coming true.
A giant goldfish! What first astounded me was the immense size of its poop! It was so big that when I landed on it, I thought it was solid ground!
It's like, you gotta respect his pimping, bro. You gotta respect it. What's my favorite lie that Usopp has told? My favorite Usopp lie? That's hard. Okay, I think my favorite has to be in Wano, when Big Mom's Conqueror Hockey Blast went off and Usopp just took ownership of that shit. Was like, yeah, that was me. Boy, get the fuck on. Iconic gag. One of the most iconic gags in One Piece. I gotta put it in goated. Next, we have all the dumb nicknames that Luffy gives people. It's funny because there are two versions of this gag. There's the version where Luffy just mispronounces somebody's name and says something completely different. Like when he calls Hancock Hammock. Or he calls Gyats Gyat. I'm sorry. He calls Gyats cats. And then there's the other version where Luffy purposefully gives people a nickname. And what I love about these nicknames, it's always just the first thing that Luffy notices about somebody. And whatever name he called them the first time he met him, he will call you that name for the rest of your life, even if you hate it. Like him calling Marco Pineapple. Or Brulee Branch. I still call Brulee Branch to this day. But it's even funnier when Luffy says something that's like borderline offensive. Like when he calls Queen Balloon. Bro, Queen should have boxed that nigga for that shit. That is crazy. I'm sorry, bro. I know this shit's getting stacked at the top. This is another goated gag. Next, we have Sanji's bounty poster. There's always something wrong with Sanji's bounty poster. No matter what, Sanji's bounty will always have something on it that pisses him off. Recently, it's because Zoro and Jinbei are both above him. That shit broke Sanji's heart. And I'm sorry, but it was the funniest thing that I've ever seen in my life. Or after Whole Cake, when his bounty is higher than Zoro's, he's happy for a second. And then he realizes my bounty rose because they realized I'm part of the Vinsmoke family. I think my favorite version of this gag is when it's just stupid. It's not that his bounty is low or that it's connected to his family. It's just something stupid like they made me look ugly in the picture. And it's double funny because it's Sanji. You know Sanji wants his picture to look good on the bounty so that girls can look at it and say,
Ooh, black leg Sanji, he's so sexy.
instead they get this shit. Another hilarious gag, man. I cannot hate on it. Next is Robin and her morbid imagination. Robin is always saying some off the wall crazy shit, and it's like she does it on purpose. Whenever we're in a stressful situation where we don't know what's gonna happen, like this right here in Fishman Island. The Noah is about to fall on them. Everybody else is thinking, how can we stop this from happening? How can we save Fishman Island? And you know what Robin says? Play the clip. Are you fucking crazy? And it's just even funnier when Usopp is around because you know Usopp's scary ass is thinking about that shit too. And he always gets so upset because it's like Robin is riling up this nigga's anxiety. I really like this gag. Doesn't happen often, but still funny. Next, we have Luffy asking people if they poop. Whenever Luffy meets somebody with some weird, different anatomy aside from humans, his first question is always... Now, setting aside this is a stupid question because all living things poop, Luffy. But the fact that this is the first thing in Luffy's mind whenever he meets somebody new, it's very Luffy, very funny. We don't see it very often, but it always gets a chuckle out of me. So I think I have to put in slightly amusing. Next we have, oh shit. Well, you can't tell from this picture, but next we have Chopper being unable to hide. Another gag that we really don't see much, but it still has a warm place in my heart because it was also one of the things that warmed me up to Chopper in the beginning. I don't think it's the funniest gag in the world, but I still love it nonetheless. But if we were to rank it on funniness, I'd probably have to put it in indifferent. Next we have Luffy being a dumbass.
Yeah.
This is probably the most iconic gag in One Piece, and it's not even really a gag. That's dead ass just how Luffy is. The nigga is dumb. Stupid. But what makes this gag funny is not even Luffy being dumb. It's the reaction of all the people around him. Because without fail, whenever Luffy is saying some stupid shit, one of the other Straw Hats is always around to tell that nigga that he's stupid. And to be honest, somebody like Luffy, he needs people like that around him. And while this gag is one of the most iconic in One Piece, I don't really think I would say it's one of the funniest. It's definitely funny, but not as funny as some of the other stuff on this list. So, yeah. Finally, we have people calling Chopper Raccoon Dog. I think this is one of the most underrated gags in One Piece. I always laugh at this because it's like, yeah, what the fuck are you? Even though the antlers should tell people that he's not a raccoon dog, but let's not try to put logic in this shit. I really started loving this gag in the middle of the time skip, you know, during the 3D2Y era. Something about the inhabitants of that island that Chopper went to, calling him Raccoon Dog all the time, no matter how many times he corrects them. Something about it is endearing to me, and it never fails to get a laugh. So I think I'm gonna have to put this one in hilarious. All right, and that's our list. I think I do want to go through this list and see if there are some things that I want to shuffle around because this list is very top heavy, but what can I say? One Piece is funny. Am I crazy? Why did I put Brook's skull joke so high? I don't even think Brook is that funny. I mean, y'all saw my Straw Hat tier list. Brook. See, I'm telling you, people were so mad that I put Brook so low. How could Brook be your least favorite Straw Hat? Did you forget about Whole Cake Island? I'm gonna be honest, I do not care about that Whole Cake Island shit. That did not boost Brook that high in my rankings. And really, neither do the skull jokes. I don't know why I have them so high. Realistically, this should be in like slightly amusing. Damn, Zoro getting lost is really top one. It's to be expected. That shit is so funny that even other fandoms pick it up. You know what? No. Skull jokes is getting put in indifferent. Sorry, bro, I don't hate Brook. I fuck with Brook. I just don't think he's that funny most of the time. And there, now we have the final list. It's official. Zoro has the best gag in One Piece, and Brook has the worst. That's about what I expected. But yeah, man, that's all I got for y'all boys today. Let me know what you think about my tier list in the comments below. Are there some things you would rank higher, some things you would rank lower? Let me know. And comment Raccoon Dog down below if you made it to the end. Just confuse all the niggas that didn't make it here. Like the video if you like the video. Subscribe to the channel. And yeah, man, I'm gone.
Damn, I can't forget about them late nights. I'm stuck in the mix, I can't shake right. We coming with Bleach, we gon' play fight. We look foolish, we blind on my like a can. I stay out the mix, I can't fuck with these